Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Sporting160EN podcast. An eventful one today. I am joined by my two close friends. One is Steph. How you doing, Steph?
I'm feeling pretty amazing. We have our Twitter account back, which now is Sporting160_EN. Together with our brothers Sporting160 from Portugal and Sporting160_ES from Spain. So I'm happy because our account was suspended, and just because we made the silly mistake of posting videos with the Sporting TV logo, and we shall not make the same mistake twice. So we've learned from our mistakes. Um, but I would like to thank everybody for their support and following us back right away with the new account. And we as a team would like to apologize for any inconvenience, but we can guarantee you that we're not going to make the same mistake twice. So, on behalf of myself, Danny Saldanha, Patrick, Rita, Bruno Brito, and Sam, thank you so much for being so faithful. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll quickly get on my points too. But Patrick, how are you doing, bro?
I'm good. Yes, it feels like well, it has been a while. I was just talking to Steph off there. It's been a while since I was last on, but obviously sporting's changed a little bit since then, and I'm looking forward to put some positive stuff about sporting again.
Yeah, and quickly just to touch on that again, we have a new Twitter account. It's Sporting160_EN. The other one got suspended permanently. Like Steph said, me and Steph, we're the ones usually on the Twitter account, and we post every now and again. We'll post the goals on some games. Then over the weekend, we got screwed for it. Not only for the game this weekend against Abj, but also the one the week prior. We also got copyright infringement claims from Sport TV. And we should have known better. I guess we just got away with one too many, and we thought we can continue it on. I honestly thought it isn't an issue unless you're getting paid off of it or any sort of money off of it. But it is, and that's the rules, that's the regulations. We broke it. But yeah, thank you everybody for your support. The hashtags of fan zone and constant comments and tweets towards Sports TV. Very appreciative of that. And yeah, follow the new page. Tell your friends about the new page. And yeah, we won't make the same mistake again. Anyways, let's go on to the soccer or football that happened over the weekend. Sporting beat Avj 4-1. I have the lineup here. Oh crap, went away. Give me 1 second. It's the same lineup that has been under Kaiser for the last 4 games now. This was Kaiser's first home game at José Alvalade, século XXI. And the lineup was as follows. Renan Ribeiro in net. We had Marcos Jacunha at left back, Jeremy Mathieu at center back, Coates at center back as well as his partner, Bruno Gaspar. In midfield, we had Bruno Fernandes, Goudelli, and Wendell. And then up top, we had Nani, Diaby, and Baz Dost. Steph, I'm going to kick it off to you. What did you think about the game, bro?
Initially, Avs played with very defensively, but with a lethal counterattack. And we should have expected that because we know Jose Mota, how he plays. We know Jose Mota from past Freitas and so on. And I wasn't surprised, but at the same time, I was expecting our team to adjust to the circumstances, which we did eventually. But Avs really scared me a little bit. They scored first. It was a surprising momentum from them, but they were playing well. The truth is they were playing well. And then we came back. and we scored. And for those that say it was not a penalty, I mean, just watching in slow motion once or twice or three times. How many times you need to watch it? It was a penalty, and we tied the game up, and then we scored the second, third, fourth goal. Not to go into too many details, but overall, we didn't play a pretty game, but we won 4-1. And I'm pretty sure you'll be asking us about the doubtful players, so I'm not gonna dig into it. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
know, I know you by now, so I'll let you ask me the questions and Patrick, and put us on the spot. But overall, the game was not a pretty game. It was one of the worst games in the Kaiser era. But we won 4-1. I mean, and when you win 4-1, not playing well, and you still score 4 goals, wow, that's still a good day. You know what I mean? I mean, what is it now? 17 goals scored and 4 goals against under
Yep.
the Kaiser era.
Yep. 17 goals, 4 against, all in
Yeah,
4 games.
yeah,
Four
all
games.
in 4 games. With the second best attack, I think with the fourth or fifth best defense, we have 12 goals against us. But I'll take that. We are in the fight for the title, and it's December, like our rivals like to say, os benfiquistas por this. Epá, vocês nem chegam ao Natal. Well, Christmas is here, and we're fighting for the title, and I like our chances. Um, so to talk about the game, because I don't want to talk about the possible players we could get. I don't know if you're going to touch into that, because I've seen some amazing names associated with Sporting. Maybe you'll touch on that. But the Avs game, we won fair and square. We scored more goals than Avs. And then we'll talk about the doubtful calls. But I liked it, because we're not going to win it every game with pretty football or soccer, like we say in the US. And I'll take the win. Antes prefiro ganhar a jogar mal do que perder a jogar bem. And that's it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did I mute myself? Good. I'm not muted. Patrick, bro, tell me what you thought of the 4-1 win over the weekend.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Steph on what he thought about the game. It was certainly, in my opinion, the worst of the 4 performances that we've seen from Kaiser Sporting. But still, we come out with a 4-1 victory, and for me, that's enough to put a smile on my face. Because it was a complicated game. I think Sporting started a little slower than they would have liked, and you can see with how deep others were at times, and then they were able to lure us into pressing traps. I felt like Sporting sort of lost their way a bit, and they sort of drifted away from trying to connect those short passes, and certain players are trying to boot it long again. It was like a throwback to the Pozzolo days. But you know, we have to look at it on face value. I've got the goal first, and they probably deserved it for the work they put in early on. But we did well with a bit of luck, of course. Um, Obviously, it was a clear penalty, but then we also had the Nani goal that was deflected. So we got those 2 goals, and we were able to flip the game around and go into half time, clear our heads a bit, and try to put out a better display in the second half. And that's what we did. I thought second half we were a lot more calm and composed on the ball. The likes of Bruno Fernandes and Vendel were able to come into midfield and help out the defence a little more with ball circulation, which was missing in the first half. And we saw a better display from our team. Not as good as we had seen in the 3 games prior to that, but good enough to cause us some problems. And it just goes to show, there's a lot of potential in this team. We're still very early in the Kaiser process, and we really need to give Kaiser the time to work his magic, essentially, because there will be times where our mistakes might be costly, and the result is different. But with time, with patience, I think he'll be able to fine tune this team. We'll be able to pass the ball a lot more slicker, and in general, just be patient and know how to stick to our plans. And by doing that, I think we'll become a very interesting side to watch, not just in Portugal, but on a European scale. And when you've got the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Vendel and others, it's a very talented team, and I think it's a very exciting time now to be a Sporting fan.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'll get right into it. I don't really have any other opposing views as to you guys. I think the only thing, like Patrick said, was in the first half, we sort of got away from that Kaiser ideology, I guess we'll say. And then at the second half, especially when Acuna went off, which was strange, we got more to that, and we started dominating the game more, and basically Avs were ineffective. But we'll start off with commentaries on the game. Steph, I'll start off with you. The Avs goal came right on the 16th minute from a free kick. Who do you put at fault for that, if you do put anybody at fault? Do you think Renan is at fault for maybe his positioning? Do you think Coates and Bas Dost, who are the men closer to the striker or the player that scored, do you think they're at fault? Well, how do you see that goal going in?
Well, it was a very fast play, and of course we can blame the whole defense, but it was one of those typical plays that Avs took advantage of our defense not being attentive. I mean, if you look at every goal, I mean, the guy, he elevating himself before Coates and Mathieu, and it was a beautiful goal. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was a Navs player scoring the goal. No one was expecting it because we had a taller team than Avs. But what a beautiful, awesome goal. I mean, sem espinhas, like we say in the Portuguese area. And there's nothing to say about that. It's one of those goals that even if our player was on top of him, he anticipated before him, and he got the advantage just in a fraction of a second. So can I blame our defense for that? I could, but it's really pushing it because it was just a perfect cross, perfect corner to the perfect player, and he just anticipating himself by a fraction of a second. And there's nothing else I can say. I'm really not going to blame anybody, especially not Renan. I mean, it's easy to blame a goalie that not too many people like him, but the ball was punched in into the ground and then hit the post. I don't think he had a chance. So it's not Renan's fault whatsoever. And I'm not even going to say it was the sweeper or the stopper's fault, because it wasn't. It was just that the off player anticipating himself first than anybody else. That's all.
Fair enough. And Patrick, how about you?
Well, you probably could ask better from Fernandez in between the sticks, and obviously very easily point your fingers at the marking. But these goals are pretty standard, I think, in general in football, and they will be conceded from time to time. So just take it as it is, and it was a good response after from Sporting, particularly in the second half, and to make sure that Sporting weren't caught out in a situation like that again. But yeah, I think those type of goals, you just got to take it as it is.
Yeah, fair enough. I think at least at the time, I thought Renan could have done better positionally, could have been maybe more to the side. But the more I look at the replays, he was there. I agree with you guys. I'm saying at the time of watching the game, I was pissed. I thought Renan could have done better. Looking over at the replays, I agree.
I don't want him to be. I don't want him to be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
And it sounds like everyone is looking for a scapegoat. and we have to stop with that because no way. O Renan não teve culpa do gol.
Yeah, that's fair. And he did have a really good game that game as well, to be fair to him. He saved a few breakaways. Anyway, speaking of a breakaway, there was one where Jose Mota claims was a penalty. It came on the not too long after the goal, I believe the 20th minute. Yeah, the 20th minute. Coates sort of chasing number 23. I don't know who his name right now. Sort of comes across him. Doesn't seem like there is contact. Jose Mota at least believed so. Steph, what do you think?
Well, I did see some contact, and you know what? It could have been called. I'm not gonna say that. If I was the referee, I would have been like doubtful, and then I would have relied on who, on the VAR, the VAR, and then I would wait for them to give me a call and let me know. Hey, it's a normal play. The intensity is very low, so don't worry about it. It's the player just took advantage of the tiny smallest contact, and it just fell into the ground. So it's nothing significant, and that's what I think it was. But I wouldn't have been surprised if the referee called it because Coates did kind of touch him and kind of stopped him a little, and it's one of those 1 to 10 scale 1 to 10. Was the intensity a 5 or 6, a 4 or 3 or a 9 or a 10? And I guess the VAR referee decided that the intensity was very low, and that's why they didn't call the penalty.
Fair enough. And Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that a little bit more contact behind it, and you certainly see it given. But I don't personally think there was enough from Coates to essentially give away the penalty. It is one of those situations that where you do sort of hope that your player takes a little bit more care in the situation. I don't think Coates really did, and he sort of opened the question up a little bit as to whether it should or shouldn't be a penalty. I think now in that sort of situation, from a tight angle as well, you really have to just hold your hands up and trust your goalkeeper to make the save, because what happened was he did make the save. So yeah, I think main thing to take from that is that Coates in particular, and we have a few players in defence that aren't at their best in terms of form. Coates is one of them, and certainly in situations like that, I think you just have to be a little bit more switched on and make sure you're not taking too many risks and trust your teammates. And I don't think Coates really did that there.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you. And then our penalty decision. Again, Jose Mota seemed to be furious on the sidelines. He ended up clapping towards the direction of the ref, which got him kicked out of the game. He said he was clapping to one of his players, which seems ridiculous, obviously. But he's a ridiculous man. What can we say? Patrick, I'll start with you. Penalty, clear penalty, not a penalty for you. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a clear penalty. I mean, his leg is stretched out and it makes no contact with the ball. Instead, makes contact with Diaby with a kick on the chest. If you place that anywhere else on the pitch, it's a definite foul, and so it should be as well in the box. And obviously, Mota is visibly annoyed. You could tell that the applause was directed at the referee as well, so he has no excuse. And then once he gets sent off, he did the same thing anyway. So I think we can all put one and one together and see that those sarcastic applauses were directed at the referee. And I think it's one of those situations. We had a team, we played a team not long ago that was it Boavista or something like that, and they really had no complaints either. They should have had any complaints, but they did. And I think sometimes small teams hide behind the fact that big teams have uh, so much influence, and it becomes an easy card to play whenever they get outclassed and whatnot. And I think that's what I've tried to do this time round. Not that they got outclassed by us at all. The scoreline certainly tells a different story. But I think they'll be disappointed that they let a promising display get out of their hands. The frustration manifested itself in, essentially claiming that we were helped by the referee. But I think there's no doubts in anyone's mind, unless you're very biased, that wasn't a penalty. I think Sporting got the right decision, and everything's fair from here.
Yeah, exactly. And Steph, I don't think I need to come to you on that. You agree that's a penalty?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So my next question is on Marcos Acuna, who ended up seeing a second yellow in this game. A right call from the ref. I think we all have nothing to complain about. First yellow, he sort of collides heads with one of the Avs player in frustration. And then the second yellow, he sort of comes on top of a guy of, I think it's Nilu Petrolina, as he's running towards the box. He was last man as it was anyway, so if it wasn't a second yellow, it would have been a straight red in my eyes. So right call from the ref. We have nothing to complain about. My question, though, is 2 straight games for Marcos Acuna playing under Kaiser, and he playing very aggressive. This time, like I mentioned, getting the red. He's probably going to start against Vorskla. I think at least Kaiser said that. But against Guimarães, when he is back from his suspension, do you guys still start him, or do you? I know it's Jefferson, and I know it's easy to say we should go with Acuna, but we can't be risking a yellow card or a red card every single game. So Patrick, I'll throw it off to you first. Do we keep and maintain Marcos Acuna when he's back? Or?
Yeah, I would. I think he's an aggressive player, but that's also part of the reason why when he was playing left mid and we were all calling for him to play left back, his aggression is what we all quoted as a reason for him being suited to that role. And I think we should still go on with that. Obviously, he is a player who's quite sparky. He will need to learn how to keep a lid on things when things are tight. Essentially, when he's on a yellow card or when tempers flare. That's what we get from him. He's a player who gives it his all. He gives it 100%, and for sure, I think for Sporting's dynamic and for what Sporting will look to play under Kaiser, I think Acuna. Even with Peseiro, I think Acuna was always the best option for us at left back, and I think that will continue. A red card doesn't change that, especially coming from him. We just hope that he learns his lesson a little bit, and whenever he's on a yellow or whenever there's trouble, he stays out of it, or at least participates in a way that's intelligent and doesn't get him in trouble.
For sure. Steph, how about you, man?
Well, I feel the same way. I mean, we all have certain trademarks in our lives. I mean, just in our podcast, we have maybe like Patrick is more calm than I am. I'm more emotional. You're more, tactical. And Acuna is Latino. He's from South America. His blood, boils in very little water. And I like that about him. I think the only problem is he has to contain himself talking to referees, not so much playing aggressively. I think him being aggressive is welcomed, but he has to avoid talking to the referees. I think that's what gets him in trouble. Because the Portuguese culture, we also boil in very little water. So Argentinian culture with Portuguese culture, it's very alike. So And Kaiser, I think he's been trying to work with him on that, on his personality and his character, to tell him to dial down a bit. So no, I would start him again. No, no fucking doubt. He's the best player we have on the left wing and left fullback. We have no better option. Um, so yeah, I would start him again next game and next game and next game and next game. I don't give a shit how many yellow cards he gets, but of course I would try to solve the problem, which I'm really I'm really certain that the coaching staff will be working on that with him, because he tends to explode on that moment of the game when in the game, and there's nothing the coaching staff can do. At that point in time, the coaching staff is on the sidelines. They can control that specific at that moment situation. So they can only coach him in practice at the shit to dial down and take a deep breath, walk away. I don't know, you know. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you. I'd also start him against Guimarães, but it's mainly on the fact that I can't really put my faith into Jefferson or even Lumor. Not saying I like Acuna and I like him a lot, and one of the things that I truly do like about Acuna is that like I don't want to blame it on his Latino-ness, but it definitely is that that fire in his belly, that I need to kick everybody's ass mentality sort of thing, and that anger that he has and he brings towards the game and the aggression. But at the same time, it's knowing how to control that. Against Rio Ave, he in my eyes he could have avoided the yellow card. And then on top of that, it's an early yellow card, which puts him at risk for most of the game, which is why Jefferson came in. Same thing with this game against Aves. He gets a stupid yellow card. I understand he's sort of protecting his teammate at the time he did it, but there's other ways about it. You can chill out, like fucking cuss him out, do whatever, but you don't have to put your head towards his head. You don't have to really make that aggression and take it too far. I hope that Kaiser takes him aside and really has a talk to him, because that's 2 straight games under Kaiser that Acuna technically looks good, but just in terms of managing the game, sort of, he doesn't. But yeah, I'd agree with both of you. I'd start him against Guimarães for sure. My next question, I'll sort of answer it because at first, then I'll send it off to you guys of what you think. Because I've definitely been one of his biggest critics. I sort of still am, but basically, are we being too harsh on Diaby? Because myself included, there's a good portion of Sportingistas frustrated with Diaby, thinking that, or not even, I'll from my point of view, I personally don't think he's a winger, which is why I'm dying for Rafinha to get back. Though Diaby's played well these last few games, he scored against Abj, a beautiful goal. Credit to him. And the thing that I like about Diaby is him running in behind the defenders. To me, he's not a wide player. He's not a winger for me. For me, he's a striker or second striker. At wing, he messes up a lot of passes. Sometimes his dribbling doesn't function. But the guy can run, right? So I can't really fault him too much on that. But Steph, I'll throw it off to you. Do you think I'm being too harsh on Diaby, thinking that he isn't Sporting quality?
Most definitely. And to you and to all
and
the
to many others, for sure.
Because I've seen that comment on Twitter, and it's driving me crazy. Because seriously, what the fuck? I mean, the guy scored 5 goals so far. I mean, am I missing something? What are you expecting? Perfection? Because if we're gonna analyze every player like everyone is analyzing Diaby, then Bruno Fernandes is not good enough because he misses a lot of passes too. And then Bas Dost doesn't score every time he's supposed to then. Nani, he misses a lot of passes as well. if we're gonna analyze every single player the way you guys are, and I'm gonna say you guys because you just said it yourself, how you feel about the hobby, then 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 the whole team will be criticized. The guy has evolved, has been playing better, has been scoring goals, has been playing in a beautiful way. So, what are we expecting from him? Perfection, 100% um, efficiency with his passes. I mean, with his dribbling, we don't get that from Nani. So why give Nani a free pass and then give Diaby such a hard time? No, I don't see it the same way as you do. I don't see it as the same way as not all Sportingistas, but a percentage of Sportingistas see it. Like they love to criticize Renan. I don't know why, because he made one or two mistakes. Okay, so you tell me when Mathieu made that mistake when he got the red card, how come everyone didn't say anything? All of a sudden, oh, ele tinha que fazer aquela falta. What about when Coates made several mistakes that worked out on goals against us? Let's be realistic. We protect certain players, but certain players will crucify them right away. And I hate that. I really hate bipolar Sportingistas. You know, you can have your own opinion, of course, you're entitled to, but then be fair and square. Look across the board. Look at the whole team and say, epa, realmente o jogador que eu gosto também fez as neiras. And then we can dialogue. We can talk one-on-one and face-to-face about it. But don't be a hypocrite and then criticize Diaby when he scored 5 goals and he's been shown that he is a good player and he belongs to Sporting when your favorite players also make mistakes and you don't say shit about it. And that's all I got to say. I like Diaby and I think he's been phenomenal and he's been a key player. That's all.
Patrick, how about you, bro? You think I'm being too harsh?
A little bit, yeah. I do understand what you mean by not being sure about him at all because he is a player who, despite being, in my opinion, decent technically and I do see him as a useful player. In terms, certainly in terms of defensive work ethic, he's not really at Sporting for that, so have you can't really expect that from him on the wings. And in terms of connecting the game in the way that Nani does on the opposite flank, he's not really that sort of player either. But what he does have, as you rightly mentioned, is great pace. And that's also a reason why perhaps for most of his career he's been flirting with being a striker and a winger. No one's really sure what his best position is because once he gets in behind, he does have so much pace, and especially for the Portuguese league, which isn't blessed with quick defenders, you can definitely see how he'd be useful. But it's just, I think that's something Kaiser will have to work out. So I think to me, if I'm looking at a player like Diaby and we divide the game in the pitch into thirds, the 2/3 is not really compatible with a team like Sporting. But obviously, once we get into that final third and there's space for him to exploit, that's when he comes to life and that's where he can be really dangerous. Obviously, I think if we to compare playing left wing or right wing versus striker, I think the most useful position for him would be as a striker. But even then, I think it'd have to be for specific games and specific situations. For example, against Abs, we were already winning 3-1 and they were committing men forward. That's when someone like Diaby will become very dangerous off the bench in a similar way to what we had imagined Doumbia to be last year. Obviously, Doumbia was a player who used to be very fast and certainly lost some pace when he arrived at Sporting. But I think Diaby could essentially play that role. Obviously, once Rafinha's back, and that spot for Bastos backup opens up. It's an interesting option to have. I do think he's a good player. Probably wouldn't have spent the 7.5 million Sporting did on him. But he's here now, and he is an interesting player. He has got 5 goals, which is worth noting. So yeah, I do think he's useful, and we just need to find the way to best utilize him.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's mainly my criticism towards him might be what you just mentioned there too, because we did spend quite a bit of money on him, and I don't know, maybe I'm still expecting more, but he did just come in, so I'll heed your guys' advice. I'll have a bit more patience on the guy.
You expected more from him? He scored 5 goals. What else do you want?
It's not the goals though. I don't just look at the goals. 15? I look at the link-up play. I look at. I personally don't like. I've seen him lose the ball more times him trying to dribble than him succeeding on the dribbles. I've seen him give away passes. I understand your point with the Nani,
but you have to take things into perspective. When he loses the ball up in the field, no Aves, no último terço do Aves, dribbling a player. That's he didn't win the battle. He lost the ball. Fine. But he didn't put the whole team in danger. Now, when you lose the ball in the midfield that could be a counterattack against us, that's a different perspective of things.
Fair, but he doesn't play that deep, so it won't really...
I've seen Nani lose those balls. And I love Nani. I bought his jersey. The jersey I have in my hotel is Nani's jersey, number 17. I bought it in Portugal, Lisbon, no Pavilhão João Rocha. But I have eyes. I see things. And the thing I hate about Portuguese sometimes, it's they don't look into things and break it down and dissect it. Oh, o Diabo perdeu a bola não sei quantas vezes. But where did he lose the ball? Was it up in the field when he was trying to dribble and win the play to cross the ball? It's not fine, but it's acceptable because he was trying to win that play. He didn't compromise the team. What about when Bruno Fernandes or Nani or Dušek loses the ball in the midfield, and then we had quite a few of those plays against Aves. They could have counterattacked and scored the goals against us. It didn't, but it could have been. All I'm saying is, I don't know what people expect from Diaby. He scored 5 goals, goddammit.
Fair.
I'm pretty sure that's a good statistic.
No,
that's
for sure. Fair enough.
Good statistic. Foda-se. Não sei o que vocês querem mais.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, we'll go on to the next question. Sort of also asked on Twitter from @Lex_Portugal. Basically, he's asking who should replace Wendell. As we know, Wendell's sustained a knee injury. He's expected to be out for 2 months. So for the next 2 months, keeping in mind we do have January. So, for the first half, we'll talk about the players that we have. Then we'll potentially go into people that you want us or we may sign. But out of Miguel Luis, Bruno Cesar, we can go into the B team and even talk about Paulinho, Marco Tulio, and who else plays midfield for our under 23 team that I'm not thinking of right now. Anyways, if you guys think of it, don't be shy. But Patrick, who do you have replacing Wendell for the next 2 months? Or Steph, who do you have replacing Wendell?
It's extremely difficult because let me see, how many games do we have left in December?
We have a few. We have at least four, if I'm not mistaken.
4. Yeah, at least 4, if I'm not mistaken, too. But shit, it's tough. It's very tough because he was actually evolving, playing better, and all of a sudden he gets hurt. Karma is a bitch,
Yeah.
But we don't have really good options. I mean, we have Petrovic. Puta que pariu. We have, like you said, Bruno Cesar. But I would put on Miguel Luis. I would put the youngster. or even Tulio. I like
Mm-hmm.
Tulio.
I like Tulio a lot too.
Yep, I would definitely give it a chance to, because Petrovic is like a good replacement for Dušek. He's un trinco. So to have someone with offensively ideas would be Tulio or Miguel Luis.
Mm.
And Miguel Luis is a little bit like Jovan Cabral because he's young, and to start him sometimes could burn them. I like to see them off the bench. Giovanni Cabral, I think when Pizet tried to start him, he kind of burned them out, and it's very dangerous. So I would go with Bruno Cesar for now, and then put Miguel Luis. So that would be it for me.
Fair enough. And Patrick, you with us?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Who do you for December? Yeah, go ahead.
So I think I'd probably um, lean towards seeing a little bit more of Miguel Luis, just because we have obviously his spell that he was in the tables with Thiago Fernandes. He wasn't um, as good as obviously the hype around him suggests. But with a new manager and a clear idea, a clear vision in mind, I'll be interested to see how well he does uh, under those circumstances. Obviously, if he's not to play, we still have some interesting, well, not interesting in comparison to Vendor. Obviously, it's a massive shame that he's out, but perhaps Bruno Cesar comes in, who is an interesting, has interesting qualities, not the type of qualities I'd associate with Kaiser's style of play and what Sporting have been playing lately, which brings me on to the other option that you've already discussed, which is Petrovic. And Petrovic is someone who obviously isn't the, the fan favourite at Sporting uh, at all. But he is a player who, in my opinion, under Pozzolo at least, he started to show a little bit more of what he's capable of. And what
Yeah.
he is capable of is knocking the ball about a little bit in a composed fashion. He just needs. He always looked to me like a player who, despite not being good enough, was also a player who was lacking in confidence. And I think in this moment in time, or so far this season, Petrovic is a far more confident player now than what he was under Jorge Jesus and whatnot. I think he's only ever shown better form whenever he's been out on loan. So hopefully he can bring some of that form from his loan spells in, and being a defensive midfielder, he could probably slot in there and push Goodell into a more box-to-box role, which is Goodell's natural position. So then we have Goodell and Bruno Fernandes just ahead of Petrovic. I think that's in terms of what Kaiser likes to play and what we can expect from a possession-based football team. I think that's the picture that makes the most sense. But I'd certainly like to see what Miguel Luis has to offer still, and see where we go from there.
Yeah, I agree. I actually wouldn't mind Petrovic's there as well. I was thinking about that. I think to me the more likely, or I mean not even the more likely, but what might happen is Gudelli staying as a 6, having Bruno Cesar and Bruno Fernandes as the 8s. Special mention from Leão Eterno, our buddy over Bruno Brito, who just couldn't be on the podcast today. He mentioned some of the B team players like Bragança, which I wouldn't mind Bragança as maybe playing at 6 and then pushing Gudelli up, but it might be too soon for him. There's Boubacar, and then there's also Paulinho, who I didn't mention earlier. I think Paulinho at the number 8. I've been liking him a lot for the under 23s. I keep saying the B team. Sorry, for the under 23 teams. So I wouldn't mind Paulinho there. If we do know that Kaiser likes playing the youth. But I think it's between Bruno Cesar and Miguel Luis for December at least. Moving into January, there are rumors that we're gonna get Francis Geralds back. we're gonna get maybe Matheus Pereira back, but Matheus Pereira is more for the wing. And then there are some rumors of Adrian Silva coming back for a loan spell. As we know, he's not playing much at Leicester. Patrick, I'll take it off to you. One, do you believe most of these rumors? Gerald is coming back from an injury at Frankfurt. That's why he really hasn't played. Adrian also, might be a great shout, but very expensive contract. And then he also hasn't played most of this season as well. Do you believe these rumors? And two, would you even want any of these players back? And what do you think of these potential moves?
Personally, I'm not. In terms of Adrian, I know he's a fantastic footballer. And certainly if Sporting were really, really desperate for a player in that position long term, I'd welcome him. But I'm not really a fan of bringing back former players under that capacity because, Vendel's going to be out for 2 months off. Once January is over, February, March time, he's back in the side again. And that's what we want. We want to move forward with a player like Vendel who has plenty of potential to explode onto the scene. And if we bring Adrian in all of a sudden, that sort of takes away the progression that he's got at the moment. It takes away his path a bit. If the manager fancies Adrian a little bit more, of course, that is. So I'm not really keen on Adrian coming back, despite him being a great player and someone who Sporting regard dearly. The other option is, of course, Gerald, which I think is a far more appealing proposition for me. He obviously has had his difficulties with injury and hasn't been in the plans for Frankfurt so far, so it's been a bit of a nightmare for him. And he's obviously one of those players who many Sporting fans would have liked to have seen in the squad already this season. I think he still has time. Should in January he return, he still has time to return to an interesting role, which, in my opinion, is battling for a first team position. I think he's got all the qualities to do that and to offer a healthy competition for Vendel once he's fit as well. I think that's a more suitable avenue for Sporting to pursue, both financially and in terms of planning. And it could be a very important moment for Gerald as a player. It could be, finally his time, that he finds his space, his little space as a Sporting player. So I would like to see Gerald return over Adrian coming in on loan or a permanent move.
Fair enough. And Steph, how about you? Gerald, Adrian, what do you make of them?
Well, they're both good choices, but I'm going to agree with Patrick on this one. I do agree with him on a lot of things, regardless. But I would give a chance to Miguel Luis, and I would give a chance to Tulio. They in full rhythm. Miguel Luis plays for the sub-23 team. Tulio as well. Gerald has not been playing for his team in Germany. Adrian Silva has not been playing for his team Leicester. So I'm not saying I would welcome them back. I would. But it would stop the progression of players like Miguel Luis. And because we're talking about a replacement for Wendell because he's hurt for 2 months. Am I correct?
Well, that's the reports, but
exactly.
Who knows?
So it sucks because, God damn it, the guy is taking off. He's playing well, and then he gets hurt in a stupid play. I saw the play, and it didn't seem like nothing much, but he landed on his knee pretty badly.
Sorry, just to cut you off quickly.
It's good. No, it's fine.
To me, that is a clear foul, and the referee doesn't even call it, which is whatever. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But sometimes it depends how you fall. It could be a stupid fall and you get really hurt, and that's what happened to him. I think Bas Dost fell on his back, and I thought it was going to be like, oh my God, we out of Vaz can be out for a couple months, but no, he was fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes your back can sustain a certain amount of pressure, but your knees cannot. And the way he fell with his knee against the turf, and the turf is hard. We tend to think that's a cushion, but it's not. It's turf. And apparently it was pretty bad, and he twisted his knee, the ligaments. So now he's out for 2 months. It sucks. It really
Yeah.
sucks. Because I
Yeah.
was very excited. I was super fucking excited. I'm like, finally, we found the chemistry for that midfield, and we're just gonna take off and dominate. And then the goddamn fucking bad luck, he gets hurt and pisses me off. Put that pariu. But anyway, I was really stressed out when I saw the play. Besides the videos I tweeted, but anyway, um, but if Adrian Silva comes back, I'm not gonna be upset. I'll be happy. But like Patrick said, it's gonna stop the evolution of Miguel Luis and me personally, Tulio. But he'll bring experience as well and stability. He knows the club quite well, and he understand. He knows the league quite well. So that's let's look at the positives. That's also positive.
Mm.
And Gerald's, I don't know. I'm skeptical now. I mean, he didn't play full time with Rio Ave. He played some games he didn't play.
I think he played most of the games that you have, to be fair, though.
It was like a 50-50. Pay attention to it and
I
you'll
think he
see.
had about 20 games last season, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Then he
But
came back to the
fair enough.
preseason. I'm not gonna blame one on that, but because it was Peseiro. But you went to Germany. You didn't even play 1 minute.
30. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would walk him back. I would walk him back too. Maybe with Kaiser, it would be different. But maybe he needs to change his demeanor, the way he is, and give it all, and show that he really wants to play at Sporting and give it all. I like him personally, but it's kind of getting iffy now. No Rio Ave jogava bem, mas não jogava os jogos todos. I mean, he went to Germany, didn't play at all. I know he got hurt recently. I understand that. And then the preseason he was okay. So I don't know. I would welcome back him too. I like him personally, but you got to give it a lot more. You playing for Sporting Clube Portugal, não é uma equipa qualquer. Either you come over here and you give it 100%, or you stay where you are and you be happy. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, fair enough. And so I left one of the midfielders out. We talked about him on another podcast, but sort of a two-part question. So, as we know, Tiago Fernandes is going to Chaves. He had a year's contract with us for the under-23 side. So I'm assuming either we got paid or maybe a player is coming for maybe a cheaper price. I'm hoping that's the case. One of the players that has been linked to Sporting for the last few weeks now from Chaves, obviously I'm talking about Stefan Eustáquio, my fellow Lusa Canadiano. Shout out to him. Steph, quickly to you. I know on the earlier podcast that we mentioned him, you wanted to see him at a full year at Chaves. Do you still think that way? Do you maybe change your ways? Are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Eustáquio at the moment?
Well, my thoughts are the following: if Eustáquio is going to come to Sporting and he's going to play, then be it. Let's go. Let's bring him in. The play is full of rhythm. He knows the Portuguese league quite well now. Let's do it. I mean, he's going to have to deal with the stigma of playing for a big club. It's the weight of the jersey is way different than playing for Chaves. All due respect to Chaves, don't get me wrong, but now you're playing for Sporting Portugal. You're playing in the Liga Europa. I mean, it's a different fan base. You're talking about 35, 40,000 fans in each game at home. So not 3,000. It's way different. The pressure. The media is more on top of you. They control your life. You're under the microscope. So if he comes in, then we go back to Adrian Silva, Geraldo. You see what I mean? Now we have too many midfielders. So I'm guessing that if he comes in, Adrian Silva won't. because we have to pay a portion of his salary to Adrian Silva, because Leicester's not going to say, okay, we can buy Postal and we pay for the whole, full salary. They're going to ask us to pay for a portion of his salary. So if you're losing Canadian when it comes to Sporting, then I don't think we should get Adrian Silva.
Agreed.
Or Geralds. But it looks like Geralds will come in for sure because he's a Sporting player. So my bet would be Geralds coming back, and if we get Eustáquio, he'll be a Sporting player, and then Adrian won't come. But if Eustáquio comes, I like it because he's a young player, full of confidence, playing well, and let's see if he adapts to the necessity of the club, and the faster the better, because we need a player to just come in and start playing, because we still involved in 4 competitions. So
yeah.
I am excited. Let's see if he can hold on to the responsibility that will come upon him to play for a big club.
Yeah, agreed. And just quickly before I forget the point, I think that if I agree with you, if we do get a Eustáquio, we won't get Adrian. Or if we get Adrian, we shouldn't at least get a Eustáquio. And I think it's whatever, Eustáquio, whatever his fucking name is. Stefan, you fucking Canadian. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I think if we get one of them, we could still bring back Geraldes, because Eustáquio plays more of a 6, and then Geraldes can play more as an 8. If we don't get back,
it's not only that. I mean, don't forget, Geraldes is the Sporting player, and Adrian is not.
No, for sure. We're obviously talking hypothetical.
Got it, yeah. É mais fácil o Geraldes vir, porque é nosso, do que o Adriano não é nosso. And we still have to pay a portion of his salary.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, Patrick, off to you as well with Eustáquio. What do you think of the Shad's midfielder, and do you think he can fit into Sporting?
Yeah, I think when we talk about the number of midfielders and the options that we got, do we bring this guy back? Do we turn that guy down? I think Eustáquio has a different, he has an advantage with regards to the other players, because he's actually the type of midfielder that I think Sporting need. He's the type of midfielder that's been missing since we sold William. And when we talk about Goodell not really being a deep line playmaker, he's more of a box to box that's quite neat on the ball. If we sign Eustáquio, then we tick that box. Regardless of whether we have many midfielders or not, regardless of whether we have a numerous amount of midfielders, we still need that specific profile, which is a defensive midfielder who can construct from deep. And I think he'd be a very good signing, a young player with lots of potential. His scope for improvement is big, so it'd be a good investment, and one I think Sporting perhaps the talk isn't new. We've been following him for quite some time now. It's perhaps something that we could have pulled off a season or 2 ago. I definitely execute that plan and bring him in. It will be a different experience for him, as Steph mentioned. The club is much bigger, the expectations are different, and the pressure will be on from the moment he gets here. But with a good manager and a clear plan in mind, I don't see why Eustáquio can't be a success at Sporting. He's certainly the midfielder that we need, and it's a plan that I'd go for.
Yeah, fair enough. And finally, on the last of the team news, like I mentioned, Tiago Fernandes going to Chaves. We've seen little of him because obviously he didn't get enough time. I think he only had a week with us. But we've seen some of them on Sporting B. We've seen 2 games under him of him at Sporting under 23. Patrick, quick thoughts on what do you think Tiago Fernandes can do at Chaves, if you rate him at all, or
he's a bit of a funny manager. I think there's a few people that really do rate him, and I think a lot of that comes from the fact that he's obviously the son of a great sporting icon, and he's sporting through and through. So there's obviously that sympathy towards him. But as a manager at the high level that is a Portuguese league, we're talking about top flight football here. I'm not quite sure where he fits in that panorama, and I know there was calls for him to be sporting manager once Peseiro left. It was an idea I wasn't keen on personally because I felt it was simply too big of a jump for him to make, and based on what I had known from him. But Shavs is an interesting project for him. We'll see how he does with them. They're a team that needs wins and results, and he certainly showed the capability of nicking results in his short spell at Sporting in the top flight, and so it could be an interesting platform for him to demonstrate his qualities as a manager. But generally, right now, I'm not really convinced that he's got it in him to one day come back, as he says, to manage Sporting. That's just me at this moment in time, but I'll be able to come up with a clearer opinion on him after what he does at Shabs and whatever opportunity arises after that. But all in all, a good opportunity for him. I certainly feel like going back to the under 23s, having been the coach, was definitely a step back. I was expecting him to, in fact, remain as a coach of Sporting while Kaiser brought in his own people as well. But for some reason, one reason or another, that didn't happen. But yeah, good luck to him in his new opportunity with Shavs, a team who will be a tough task for him, but it could be the making of him. So yeah, good luck for him.
Fair enough, and I actually agree with most of what you said. I'm not too convinced by him, not yet at least. But how about you, Steph? What are your thoughts on Thiago Fernandes joining Chaves?
Well, I want to wish him the best of luck, and I have no doubt he'll be successful. He's a young, talented coach. I know he's been judged because I believe he was the coach at Benfica for the youth, and he's been judged about that. Also, he's paid the consequences of his father, Manuel Fernandes, speaking sometimes way too much on behalf of Sporting, and he doesn't filter what he says. And because of that, he's being his son, he's criticized about that. But putting that aside, I really think he's a talented coach, young coach. Of course, he has to prove himself a lot more with results now at Chaves. But if he has a good coaching staff and he conquers the players at Chaves, I have no doubt he'll have a good season. And I can only wish him the best of luck as a Sportingista. I have no doubts he is a Sportingista too, regardless of his past. We accepted Jorge Jesus when he trained Sport Lisboa Benfica, and we welcomed him with open arms. So I don't know why we're treating Fernandes like, I'm not gonna say like shit, but almost like shit, really, because of his past. But besides that, best of luck to him, and like he said, un dia desses you'll come back to Alvalade and you will be celebrating the championship lá no Pombal.
Yeah, that's right. He did say that, and I hope that's true. That he does come back and he does win us a league. I'm not gonna lie, but anyways, to end off the game, I guess I know we got a little sidetracked, but to end off the game, who are your man of the match? Steph, I'll throw it to you. Who's your man of the match for this game?
To me, without no doubt, it'll be Bas Dost. He scored two goals. He has proven himself to be un goleador. Um, I don't care if he renewed this contract to make more money. It's well worth it. It's an investment. Um, I don't care how he did it. He came back. If you hit with a fucking crowbar across your forehead, I would love to see if you didn't think about quitting your job. You know, so that's all I gotta say. I'm always gonna protect him because he really got hurt, and people kind of forget about that. And he scores goals, and he makes us who we are today. So every penny we invested in him, it's worth it. So MVP Bajdos for this game. I love him. I hope he stays at Sporting for many years, even if he got an increase, and I hope he gets another increase because he scores a lot of goals. If we didn't have him, it would mean that we would have to invest in another striker, and it meant that we would have to invest more money in another striker. So now, why not keep the same striker, even if we increase his salary by 1 million? It's money that we saved if we bought another striker. I don't know if you guys get me,
No, for
but
sure.
if we didn't give him $1 million increase, then we would have lost him. Estava rescindido o contrato, and then it would mean that we would have to invest another 5, 6, 7, 8 million in a new striker plus his salary and bonus. So if we look at the whole picture, we technically save money with him, keeping him, and he scores a lot of goals. He scored 8 goals in 6 games in the Portuguese league, Liga Nos. I don't know what else
Yeah.
you want for this guy. I'm not like the typical Sportingista from whatever, from Portugal or even the US or other countries that holds a grudge forever. That hold a grudge. Epa, não devia ter feito isso. E não sei mais que. No, I'm not like that. I'm easy to let it go because I look at the whole picture, at the circumstances, and I understand why he did it. Because if somebody hit me with a crowbar at my job, I would think twice before going back. I would be skeptical. I would make sure
Sure.
that security is beefed up, and I would make sure that the person hit me couldn't approach that area. And e se as pessoas não querem perceber isso, são burras. Não posso ser mais nada.
And sorry, that killed me already. Patrick.
I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's all good. Who's your man of the match for this game?
I don't think there was many standouts, but I think for this one I'd have to give it to Bruno Fernandes, who I believe got 3 assists
3 assists. Yep.
on the day. So the cross for Bastos was brilliant on his left leg.
Phenomenal.
And
Yeah.
it turned out to be a very good opening as well for the RB squad. It was a little bit fortunate, obviously, with the defender's positioning. But in the end, I think we could look on that as a very good pass out to release Diaby. The assist for Nani was something that you could ignore, but it amounts to 3 assists, and he's gone with 4 goals, 4 assists in his last 4 appearances as well. Under the new manager, so he's beginning to find his form again, find his feet. He's beginning to influence things in the middle of the park, playing as that number 8, which is what I like to see from him because he is a midfielder with very well-rounded attributes.
Yeah.
And when he's able to play to his full capacity, he makes Sporting a different prospect. Not that we were very good on Sunday, but when the opportunity came, he made things count, and he essentially tilted the balance of things and gave us the win with his assists. Obviously, you got the likes of Doston and Nani to make the difference at the other end, or Diaby. But I think he made our task a lot easier than what it could have been. So I'd give it to them from Lens.
Yeah, and I was actually going to give it to Bruno Fernandes too. I thought you were going to go with Bas Dost. I was trying to be different. But I agree. Bruno Fernandes, I think, is my man of the match as well. He had a really good game, like you mentioned, 3 assists. That assist to Diaby was disgusting. Even he wins the ball from that knee, turns quickly, crosses it into the box, and boom, Bas Dost is there. And fair play to Bas Dost as well. I think under Kaiser, I was a little worried on how Bas Dost might adopt this style, but he's done it in stride. Bas Dost is now making runs like brilliant runs, really, just getting into the box, making it past the first defender, like he did. I can't remember. I think it was against Rio Ave. He made that little run. Yeah, credit to both of them, really. All right, let's go off to the Twitter questions before we're done here. First question comes in from Zep Pereira, who is actually in our chat right now. Shout out you, Zep Pereira. He's at Pereira4785 on Twitter. What's been the biggest improvement with the team playing since the manager change? With the team play, sorry. Let me repeat that. What's been the biggest improvement with the team play since the manager changed? Patrick, I'll start off with you.
Well, I would say just generally an identity. We have a plan now when we come into games, and that plan is what's getting us results. It's what's turning things in our favour. We see the amount of passes we're able to link now, and the way we progress up the field is far more methodical than what it was under Pereira, who at times relied on individual brilliance from someone like Nani or Bruno Fernandes or Jovan Cabral off the bench. We're relying on 11 players now to really come together and put in a team effort, which is playing the ball about and dominating possession and progressing forwards that way. It's what any team needs, be it defensively, attacking wise. A team needs an identity, and that's what Sporting's got right now. So I think that's the biggest difference, and you can only hope that from here we go strength to strength, and really turn this season on.
Yeah, agreed. Steph, next question goes to you from our girl Lauren Jenks, who is also in the chat. Thank you very much, Lauren, for joining us tonight. Her Twitter handle is Mary Chipmas on Twitter, at Lauren Yano. Steph, she asks, which player has impressed you the most so far during the Kaiser era? Actually, there's a 2-part question, so I'll ask Steph, answer that first one. Which player has impressed you the most under Kaiser?
Well, 2 of them. It's been definitely, actually 3. Wendell, of course.
Okay.
Bruno Fernandes, he's finally playing the way he likes it, with more freedom, because Wendell allows it. And Diaby, a player that under the Pereira era only played 5 minutes. All of a sudden, given more time, he's little by little showing his skill set, is a full repertoire, and I like what I'm seeing. He brings speed, and he can finish it up. Expecting perfection from him, it's crazy, but he has proven that giving him time to play, he can be very lethal.
Yeah, for sure. And next part of the question goes to you, Patrick, but I'll ask Steph as well. How do you think Rafinha fits back into the team once he returns from injury?
Well, I think quite easily. We touched on Diaby's obviously got the goals to his name, but I think Rafinha can add goals of his own, and on top of that, a lot more creativity out wide. I think he probably, if we're to assess all our wingers, I think Rafinha is probably the most creative winger, and also one of the wingers with the highest amount of potential attached to him. So I think it's a no-brainer to slot him in ahead of Diaby on that right flank. where he can cut in on his left foot, and invite the overlap for our fullbacks, which also like to attack, be it Bruno Gaspar, be it Ristovski once he's fit, or maybe even Thierry Correa, should he find his way into the first team. So someone like Rafinha who can come in as an inverted winger um, makes so much sense, and I think would be an easy choice for any manager, even Peseiro, to put on that right flank.
Yeah. Steph, unless you have anything different to say, but how do you think Rafinha fits back once he's back from injury, which
No,
is hopefully soon? Sorry.
yeah, I mean, hopefully soon. I mean, I'm a strong believer that if your team is playing well, now you have to re-earn your spot.
Agreed.
So yeah, so he's going to be without rhythm anyway. So it'll take him. He will play eventually and real soon. So, but I think Diaby will be given, uh, the starting spot, and then if he's not producing in the second half, he'll be subbed, and that's how you conquer back your position in the starting 11. So, but the good thing is, if I'm Kaiser, I'm excited. Hey, I have valid, good options, and let's not forget that we're still involved in 4 competitions. People forget that we still have a lot of football games, so we're gonna have to rotate the team. So everyone's gonna get a lot of games to play. So if you're coming back, it's just gonna be more options for Kaiser. So I'm excited.
Agreed. And I actually agree exactly what you said. I think him coming off the bench, gaining that rhythm. It's a shame he's not back to play Vorskla, because then I'd give him the start. Because we're already through to the next round. I don't think there's a chance for us to make first. Even if there was, it'd be very unlikely Arsenal would slip up. So
Yeah, no, we don't have a chance.
So yeah. Anyways, that's it with the Twitter questions. Yeah, that's it. Actually, some Andre Official 8 asks, do you think Sportive International will ever happen? Who gives a shit after what they did to us? Last thing, predictions before we go. I'll ask you guys predictions for the Vorskla game, and then our next home game against Nacional. Both of them are at home, in fact. Steph, Vorskla, what's your score prediction?
Well, before we go into the predictions, I have the modalidades.
Oh, I was going to do that after, but either or.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the modalidades really fast,
For
so
sure.
then we can go for the predictors for the end. So under 23 today, we won 2-0 against Academica. Our under 19 juniors, we won 2-1 against Academic as well. Juvenis under 17, we won 4-0 at Sequevenense, that's a great final score, because Sequevenense is a good team. For whoever follows the youth, they know what I'm talking about. Iniciados, we tied at home after I watched the game at 6 in the morning against Sportar, a team from Alentejo. They're a very good physical team. So we tied the game 1-1. We could have won, but towards the end, but we tied the game. But it's only the second phase, so they still have a lot of time to make it up. Women's football, we lost at home 2-0 against Braga. So people have a better understanding. Braga reinforced themselves very well. They have 4 American players. I watched the game. They're very physical, very tall. These players from Braga. They don't play a very tactical, like a skill set game. It's a very, very, very physical game. So they prepared the preseason pretty well, and the Sporting Club Braga in female ladies team soccer, they looking much better than us. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. They're very, very physical, and they know what they're doing. The coaching staff, they know what they're doing. Futsal, we won against the last placed team, Rio Ave. barely 2-1, but we won. And then women juniors won 3-2 against Benfica, and we in first place. In hockey roller skate, we won 4-2 against Oeiras and 6-1 against HC Braga, AC Braga. And volleyball, we lost 3-2 away, but we qualified for the round of 16th of the Challenge Cup, which is a competition, international competition. So congratulations to our team. Last but not least, our judo department were European champions. So congratulations to them for another international title for our Sporting. And all this feedback was given to us by Leal Interno Bruno Brito. Thank you so much, Leal Interno Bruno Brito. And also to Rita. She's been very helpful in our page and helping us with feedback. That's it.
Yeah, perfect. And again, congratulations to the judo guys who got us another European championship, because that's what this club is about. Anyways, talking about Europe, predictions for the Vorskla game. We're expected rotation, but nonetheless, Patrick, what do you think? Vorskla against Sporting?
I'll go for a 2-1 victory for Sporting.
Fair enough. Steph?
Same, 2-1.
2-1. I'll go with the 2-0. Our first clean sheet. I pray, at least. And then our next home game, or our next league game, is again at home. We have a stretch of 4 games at home. Is against Nacional, Costinha's team. Steph, I'll start this one off with you. Predictions.
And the game will be on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Or Monday.
When I think it's Sunday, but I could be wrong. 1 second. It is Sunday, yeah. Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so we play at home for the Liga Europa, and then we play again at home contra Nacional.
For the league, yeah. And then we also play at home for Taça Portugal against Liwa.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna stick with the 2-1 against Nacional, yeah.
2-1. Patrick?
Yes. I will go for 2-0 this time for Sporting.
2-0. I'm gonna go with a 4-0. Because Nacional's defense isn't looking that great, and Costinha also relegated my Beta Mar, so fuck Costinha. I'm kidding. Anyways, that's all we have for today, guys. Thank you very much for joining us on yet another podcast. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Patrick, for joining us. Guys, be sure to follow us on Twitter. It's Sporting160_EN now. As you guys know, like we mentioned earlier, page got deactivated, but we're back with a new page, bringing you the same good Sporting content and even better.
Without the Sporting TV videos.
Without, yeah. We'll retweet them if anything.
Puta que pariu, filhas da puta.
Anyways, guys, a pleasure having you guys on. Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening. Have a wonderful week. Hopefully Sporting wins these next few games. And yeah, ciao. Viva Sporting.
Viva.